The Galactic Coalition's research station orbited a dying star, its corridors humming with the quiet efficiency of 100 species working in harmony. But in Lab 7, efficiency had given way to chaos. Kara's head rested on her forearm, dark hair spilling across datapads displaying half-finished reports. Her breathing was deep and rhythmic, utterly oblivious to the crisis her unconsciousness had created. Around her desk, 3 juvenile Vithrani, what humans affectionately called cubs, due to their fox-like features and diminutive stature, stood frozen in various states of panic. "She's dying," whispered Vexen, the smallest of the 3, his auburn fur bristling with alarm. His large, luminous eyes were fixed on Kara's motionless form. "Humans don't just ... stop. She was working, and now she's not moving. Check for vital signs," hissed Mara, pressing her tiny paw against Kara's wrist. "I feel a pulse, but it's so slow. Unnaturally slow." The 3rd cub, Torek, was already accessing the medical database on his datapad, his small claws tapping frantically. "Nothing. There's no medical emergency protocol for human suddenly stops functioning while conscious. Should we call Medbay? Should we call Commander Vexen?" "My father," Vexen squeaked, his tail puffing out in terror. "If we tell Commander Vexen that we let the human die on our watch, he'll—" The young Vithrani couldn't finish the sentence, overwhelmed by the catastrophic implications. Kara released a soft snore, and all 3 cubs jumped backward, colliding with each other in a tumble of fur and panic. Did she just vocalize?" Mara whispered. "That's a death rattle," Torek said with absolute certainty. "I read about those. When a being's respiratory system begins to fail." "She's smiling," Vexen interrupted, his voice barely audible. Indeed, the corners of Kara's mouth were slightly upturned, her expression one of complete peace. For several long moments, the 3 cubs simply stared at the human, their collective fear slowly transforming into bewildered confusion. Mara tentatively approached again, this time noticing the datapad still glowing with incomplete reports. The deadline stamp glared accusatorily. "Due 06 hours remaining." "The reports," she breathed. "If she doesn't complete them, the entire specimen analysis from the expedition will be invalidated. 3 months of work wasted." "But she's dying," Vexen protested. "No," Mara said slowly, a strange realization dawning in her intelligent eyes. "I don't think she is. Look, her respiration is steady, her pulse is consistent, and she's not in distress. What if ... what if this is something humans do?" Torek's ears perked forward. "Do? What do you mean, do?" "A voluntary state of reduced consciousness," Mara theorized, scrolling through her datapad with renewed purpose. "Some species enter torpor, others have meditation cycles. Maybe humans have something similar. But why would she do it now? With 4 hours until the most important deadline of the quarter?" Vexen's practical nature asserted itself despite his fear. The 3 cubs exchanged glances, a wordless communication passing between them. They had been assigned to Kara as research assistants 3 months ago, eager to learn from the legendary human scientist who had discovered the adaptive properties of deep space fungal networks. She had been patient with their mistakes, encouraging with their questions, and unfailingly kind when their youth made them clumsy or forgetful. "She worked 18 hours yesterday," Torek said quietly, "and 16 the day before. I saw her skip 3 meal periods this week." "Humans," Mara whispered with sudden understanding. "They push themselves past their biological limits. It's what they do. It's what makes them ... dumb." Vexen's expression shifted from terror to determination, his small frame straightening with purpose. "Then we won't let her sacrifice be in vain." "What are you suggesting?" Torek asked, though the gleam in his eyes suggested he already knew. "We finished the reports." Vexen moved to the datapads, his paws surprisingly deft despite their size. "We've been with her for every experiment, every observation. We know this data as well as she does. But we're just cubs," Mara protested weakly. "We're not qualified to." "She qualified us," Vexen interrupted, his voice carrying an echo of his father's command. "Every time she explained her reasoning, every time she asked our opinion, every time she trusted us with critical measurements, she was qualifying us. We just didn't realize it." For the next 3 hours and 47 minutes, Lab 7 became a symphony of determined activity. Vexen handled the primary analysis, his sharp mathematical mind parsing through spectral data with increasing confidence. Mara compiled the observational notes, her meticulous nature ensuring every detail was properly documented. Torek cross-referenced their findings with established research, his encyclopedic memory proving invaluable. They worked in near silence, occasionally whispering clarifications to each other, their small forms moving around Kara's sleeping figure like protective satellites around a dying star. When the chronometer displayed 0557 hours, Torek pressed the final submission command. The three cubs slumped against each other, exhausted but triumphant. "We did it," Mara breathed. Kara stirred, her eyes fluttering open. For a moment she looked confused, then horrified as she saw the chronometer. She lunged for her datapads, her heart clearly racing, then froze as she saw the completion stamps glowing green across all 7 reports. Her gaze slowly moved to the 3 cubs, who sat huddled together, their fur rumpled and their eyes heavy with exhaustion but shining with pride. "You ... Kara's voice cracked with emotion. "You finished them?" "You needed rest," Vexen said simply, his young voice trying for dignity. "Humans need rest, even if they forget." Kara's eyes grew suspiciously bright. She knelt beside the cubs, pulling all 3 into an embrace that would have been crushing to most species, but was merely warm to the sturdy Vithrani. "Thank you," she whispered. "My brilliant, wonderful cubs. Thank you." Later, when Commander Vexen received the incident report detailing how his son and 2 other juveniles had completed graduate-level research analysis in under 4 hours, he read it 3 times before believing it. His response was brief. "Perhaps we've underestimated what beings can accomplish when they're taught by humans." In Lab 7, Kara implemented a new policy, mandatory rest periods for all staff, including herself. And 3 young Vithrani wore their junior researcher badges with unprecedented pride, having learned that humans' greatest gift wasn't their resilience, but their ability to inspire that same resilience in others. Even the cubs,